Hi Class 3, hope you're all okay. It's chapter 13 now, so I'm going to read that to you. We'll see how far we get, and hopefully we'll do chapter 14 tomorrow. I am in school tomorrow, but I can do it as soon as I get home. Okay. Varjak's head hung low. He could hear more monsters in the distance, coming closer. He couldn't face looking at them. What was the point? He knew now that they'd never stop to help him, not in a million years. He'd failed to do the one and only thing he'd ever been trusted with. What good was he to anyone? Julius was right. He was no Mesopotamian blue, and he never would be. He was an insect. Worse than an insect, he was a disgrace in the name of Jalal. He'd failed. Varjak glanced up at the hill, far away on the other side of the park. There was no way he could go back there, not without a dog. That meant he might never see his home again. The kitchen full of china bowls, the Contessa's red velvet armchair, even the new toy mouse. Never again. He slunk into an alley that led away from the monsters, away from the hill, away from his memories of home. Narrow and dark, with shadows of night. It was empty, except for a swarm of black plastic rubbish bags, so full they'd split open. Ruined food seeped out of the bags like blood from a wound. The ground was slippery with scraps, soggy bread, slimy food discarded and decaying in the dirt. Somewhere in the distance, almost buried by these smells, was the tang of meat. Varjak's stomach grumbled. It had been long since he had eaten. He remembered insisting to mother and father that he wanted to hunt like Jalal. He laughed bitterly at the memory. It was easy to talk about hunting, but to actually do it. Him, the coward, who couldn't even stop a dog. Varjak, who disgraced his whole family. A hunter like his famous ancestor? No. An old scrap of meat was all he was good for, all he could get. Varjak followed the scent. His awareness led him along the alley and over a wall. He came down into the most desolate place he had seen. It was an enclosed courtyard. The sky was hidden here. He'd lost the moon and stars. He could see nothing but big concrete tower blocks looming all around. Every door and window was shut, as if the people inside were trying to keep something out. This place made him nervous. The blocks would be impossible to climb. Their walls were smooth and sheer. If something went wrong, if there was trouble, he could easily be trapped. The only way out was the way he'd come in. Still, at least it was shadowy. There were plenty of places to hide. And it was quiet. All he could hear was the muffled rumbling of the city in the distance. The smell of meat was potent in this barren place. With grim precision, Varjak tracked it to a metal bin that clanked in the corner, helpless on its side in a murky pool of rain. Something brushed against his shoulder. Varjak gasped, ducked and swung around. What was it? No one there, just a rustling sound. A plastic bag, caught by the wind. It was circling him as if it was the hunter and he was the prey. He let out his breath, told himself not to be so nervous and turned back to the bin. The smell of meat wasn't quite so close up. It was rancid, rotten. That was why he'd picked it up from so far away. His nose wrinkled. This wasn't how he'd imagined life outside. If only he could have a bowl of the gentleman's caviar now. But this was all he deserved. Varjak moved towards the bin, and the world erupted into violence. Out of the shadows, those perfect hiding places, 5 fully grown tomcats sprang. Not one of them wore a collar. Varjak put up his paws to defend himself. They were too fast. In a vicious blur of speed, they slammed into the ground and pinned him there. The biggest, a massive, muscly Ginger Tom, towered over him. It ripped his cheek with claws as sharp as white lightning. Varjak howled with pain. "These are our bins, Sonny," yelled the Ginger, "and don't forget it." Varjak wrenched a paw free and lashed back. He caught the Ginger full in the face. It didn't budge, didn't even flinch. It just opened its jaws and spat at him. The other cats poured down on him, a deadly rain of claws and teeth. Varjak screamed. It was agony. "What do you know about the vanishings?" demanded the Ginger. It was as big as the gentleman's cats. "What vanishings?" gasped Varjak. "Don't pretend." Claws raked across Varjak's side. Bony paws pummeled his head. He clenched his eyes tight and curled into a ball. Off in the distance, he could hear a siren wailing. This was it. This was the end. He was going to die alone in this lifeless concrete place, and no one would ever know. A sense of release washed through him. He was glad it was over. He didn't want to live anymore. He didn't deserve to live, not after he'd let everybody down. Already it seemed very far away, like it was happening to somebody else. His body felt cold and weightless, as if from a great height, through a curtain of pain, he could hear voices talking. He wondered vaguely whose they were. "Leave him alone, Ginger," a gravelly voice said. "Well, look who it is. Friends of yours, is he, Holly?" "Leave him. He doesn't know anything." "Ha! He'll learn." Something crunched into Varjak's ribs. Purple pain seared through his body and faded into black. I think we'll do chapter 14. Down in the darkness, Varjak dreamed. He was walking by the river in Mesopotamia. Date palms swayed in the warm breeze. The night air smelled of cinnamon. And Jalal walked beside him. "Jalal, I thought I'd never see you again." "Why cinnamon?" said Jalal, as if he hadn't heard. "Cinnamon? Perhaps you have noticed the smell all around us. Now follow me and be silent." Jalal led him down the riverbank towards a group of men. They were sitting around a campfire, cooking food in a sizzling pan. The most wonderful smell in the world came out of the pan. It was toasty warm and cinnamony, and it drove Varjak wild. His nostrils twitched, his mouth drooled, he was starving. A couple of fat, sluggish cats circled the fire. One of the men tossed them something from the pan. Varjak beamed at Jalal. Obviously, they were going to join them. He was going to get some of that delicious-smelling food. Jalal shook his head. "Those are not true cats. They have forgotten how to hunt. They are scavengers trapped here by their own greed. They have become slaves to the people. They might as well be dead already." Varjak blushed with shame, remembering that scrap of rancid meat he'd wanted so badly in the city. "But what if you're hungry and there's nothing else?" he said. Jalal's eyes blazed amber like the rising sun. "A cat is an idea of freedom made flesh," he said fiercely. "It cannot be tied down. To be truly alive, it must be free. And free cats hunt. It never scavenges or depends on the kindness of people. It depends only on itself." Varjak looked down at the ground. He wished it would swallow him up. "I've failed, Jalal. I've failed you. I've failed everyone." "It is no failure to make a mistake, my son. What matters is whether you can learn from it." Varjak looked up. The old cat was smiling at him. It was like a ray of sunshine in the night. "I want to learn how to hunt, Jalal." "Then learn you shall. I will restore the knowledge that has been lost. I will teach you hunting, for it is the third skill. Now, show me your awareness. Track down that chirping noise you heard when last you were here." Varjak pricked up his ears, determined not to fail again. The noise came from the river bank. With his sensitive whiskers, he probed the air currents that carried the sound until he pinned down its source precisely. Crickets, he said. 4, hidden behind that clump of reeds. Correct, Jalal glided towards the reeds. Varjak marvelled at the way he moved. He was stealth itself. When you stalk your prey, whispered Jalal, you become your prey. You make it part of yourself. Breathe like it breathes. Think like it thinks. When you and the prey are one, you will know its every movement. And then you will move first. This is the secret of the third skill and why it is done best alone. Try it. The crickets chirped on behind the long reeds as Varjak and Jalal crept up to them. Varjak selected his target. He sat still, watching, letting all his awareness flow into the cricket. Every time it shifted, his senses went with it, tracking its speed. Trajectory, vectors, he took it all in, as if there was nothing else in the world, as if he didn't exist anymore. The crickets stirred. They sensed they were being watched. They were about to move, and Varjak knew it with absolute certainty. His legs tensed like steel springs, tight, until the right movement came. He uncoiled into the air, claws slid out smoothly, pinning the prey, forcing it down to the ground. He opened his jaws, prepared to sink his teeth. Enough, Jalal was shouting, and Varjak released the stunned cricket. What had he done wrong now? Jalal took a deep breath. It was a splendid attack, and you have the third skill, but this is only practice. You were going to kill it. It's just a cricket. And we are just cats, remember. You may cause harm only when there is no alternative, only when your life is at stake. You take enough and no more. This is the way the world is made. I'm sorry, Jalal, said Varjak, tail between his legs. I didn't know. And why did you settle for one cricket? It wouldn't feed a mouse. No one could catch more than one at a time. Oh no, Jalal grinned. Varjak looked down at his ancestor's paws. The other 3 crickets were right there, wriggling on the ground. Now pay attention, said Jalal. This is how it is done. Okay, so we've managed 2 chapters tonight, class 3. We'll get some more in tomorrow. It's Lottie's birthday today. Say hello, Lottie.
Hello.
Hello, she's 5 today. Oh, she's got chocolate all around her mouth. You've had a good day today, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And for those of you that are in school tomorrow, I will see you tomorrow. If not, then I'll see you on YouTube tomorrow. Bye, class 3. Say bye, Lottie.
Bye.
Bye.